I've decided to compile some comments and references that, for the sake of this series, I'll be referring to as the Reddit collection. My name's Makayla, and I should probably distance myself from this material, informing people that I'm not responsible for any of the things I'm gonna cover, but honestly, if you think I'm capable of all of the things I'm about to spew, then I admire you. Without further ado, let's proceed, in no particular order. In an Ask Reddit thread entitled, "What's the nicest thing you've ever done that no one knows about?" user Wartoad, who has since deleted his account, responds, "I was day tripping to Vancouver from Seattle and stopped in for lunch at a little cafe. From my window, I saw a young teenage girl out in the cold, squatted down in a closed-up business doorway, holding a small bundle in her arms. She was panhandling. People were mostly walking by, ignoring her. She looked just broken. I finished up my meal and went outside. Went through my wallet and thought I'd give her $5 for some food. I got up to her and she was sobbing. She looked like she was 14 to 15, and that bundle in her arms was a baby, wrapped up. I felt like I just got punched in the chest. She looked up, putting on a game face, and asked for any change. I asked her if she'd like some lunch. Right next door was a small Quick Trip type grocery store. I got a can of formula for the baby, very young, maybe 2 to 3 months old, and took her back to the cafe, though I'd just eaten. She was very thankful, got a burger and just inhaled it. Got her some pie and ice cream. She opened up and we talked. She was 15. Got pregnant, parents were angry, and she was fighting with them. She ran away. She'd been gone almost 1 full year. I asked her if she'd like to go home, and she got silent. I coaxed her. She said her parents wouldn't want her back. I coaxed her further. She admitted she stole $5,000 in cash from her dad. Turns out $5,000 doesn't last long at all, and the streets are tough on a 15-year-old. Very tough. She did want to go back, but she was afraid no one wanted her back after what she did. We talked more. I wanted her to use my phone to call home, but she wouldn't. I told her I'd call and see if her folks wanted to talk to her. She hesitated and gave bad excuses, but eventually she agreed. She dialed the number, I took the phone, her mom picked up, and I said hello. Awkwardly introduced myself and said her daughter would like to speak to her. Silence, and I heard crying. Gave the phone to the girl, and she was quiet, listening to her mom cry, and then said hello. And she cried. They talked. She gave the phone back to me. I talked to her mom some more. I drove her down to the bus station and bought her a bus ticket home. Gave her $100 cash for incidentals, some formula, diapers, wipes, snacks for the road. Got to the bus, and she just cried, saying thank you over and over. I gave her a kiss on the forehead and a hug, kissed her baby, and she got on the bus. I get a Christmas card every year from her. She's 21 now, and in college. Her name is Makayla, and her baby was Joe. I've never told anyone about this. I just feel good knowing I did something good in this world. Maybe it'll make up for the things I've fucked up. In an Ask Reddit thread entitled, "Have you ever felt a deep personal connection to a person you met in a dream, only to wake up feeling terrible because you realized they never existed?" user Tempt Too Soon responds, "Throwaway account, because this is really personal. My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds and I was 120. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately, she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs and a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about the lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at that fucking lamp for 3 days before my wife got so worried she had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time, my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp wasn't real. The house wasn't real. My wife, my kids, none of it was real. The last 10 years of my life was not fucking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain. A fucking shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk, surrounded by people that I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, walked me across the sidewalk and grass, and threw me down into the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive and give CT scans and shit. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they had never existed. I was scared that I was going insane, as I would cry myself to sleep hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have. But sometimes I see my son. Usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says.